Hi everyone, my name is Alexis. This is my final project on the effects of coronavirus on Amazon. This is a picture I found that was pretty relevant to my topic and I really liked it. So jumping straight into business and data understanding, when deciding what topic to analyze, I immediately thought about coronavirus, obviously, and its enormous effects on the world and how we choose to shop. My assumption is that many people are resorting to online shopping more than ever, and I wanted to know if that has been reflected in the tweets of users of Twitter. The purpose of this analysis is to understand the effects and overall sentiment of tweets relating to Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and coronavirus. I want to understand what people are saying about the company, especially during this time, and track how the pandemic has affected the company's reputation as an e-commerce giant. These are the questions that I will address in my analysis. What is the overall sentiment of tweets about Amazon? What are the most prevalent topics in tweets about Amazon or Jeff Bezos? Do the tweets get a lot of attention? And finally, has the pandemic affected the way consumers talk or tweet about the company? Understanding how the business has been impacted during an unprecedented time will allow the business to adapt and adjust its business model in the future in order to satisfy customers. So data identification and collection, I did use API to extract Twitter data relating to Amazon and Jeff Bezos. I used Spider like we did in class to extract the tweets with hashtags or topic words such as Amazon, Bezos, Jeff Bezos, Amazon.com, and Amazon by shipping. So this is what it looks like when I imported the data. I collected 7,353 tweets, which I thought was a pretty good sample. So reading this, you see there's kind of a lot of issues, really hard to read. There's some non-English characters, even though through the extraction I specified English only. So that is something I will address in data cleaning. So these are some of the things that I use to further specify aspects of the data, and I chose to clean it this way through a data frame because I thought that was a lot easier. So now you can see on the clean side this looks a lot better, and it's much easier to read some of the more important information in the tweets. Moving on to descriptive analytics and hashtags. So these are just some of the hashtags that were involved: Amazon wishlist, spread the kindness, Redbubble. And there were 2,163 hashtags in the tweets that I collected. Looking at original tweets versus retweets, there were 3,424 original tweets and 3,929 retweets. So really kind of split in half here, and there really wasn't one that had a significant amount more. Information about users, there were 5,208 unique users in the data. These are some of our most active tweeters, and you can see that the most active tweeters have about 40 tweets. Location sharing. So as you can see, most of our users do not share their location. That is just the reality that we are living in. A lot of people do not want to share their location, and that's fine, but sometimes it can be really useful. So of those people who do share, where do those people live? So about half USA, half UK, which is kind of interesting. You can maybe take that those people who live in those locations are more likely to buy from this company. And then we're going to look at our top users. Our top user for this is Business Insider. They have a lot of tweets, and if you visualize it, they've got a ton more than maybe the average people who are tweeting about Amazon, but this is a well-known account, so that is not surprising. Moving on to content analytics and word frequency. I use original tweets for this, and some of these words are a bit odd, but if we look at some of the most common ones, those are a little bit more appropriate. Amazon, Prime, Cloud, Giveaway, Thanks Video, and just a visualization of these. Obviously, Amazon has the most hashtags, because that is the topic that we are analyzing and researching, and so it makes sense that people would say hashtag Amazon. So then I wanted to look at tweets containing the word coronavirus, and surprisingly there were only 36 tweets out of my 7,000, but words associated with coronavirus were safety, protests, and concerns, and those kind of drew my eye, and I think those would be really important for Amazon to address, and if we're kind of just visualizing those, there we go. And then I wanted to look at Jeff Bezos. That has a little bit more with 58 tweets. I was expecting more, but also expected this to have more numbers than coronavirus. Then we're looking at some of the words related to Bezos. We see more protesters, demand, employees, and then kind of looking at some of the most popular ones: warehouse, beating, crime. And then co-hashtag analytics. There were 1,259 co-hashtags. And so we're looking at those. There were a lot of co-hashtags with Redbubble and other things, which is kind of interesting, and I'm not really sure where that connection with Amazon fits in, but that's what we got. So moving on to sentiment analysis. So I performed this and performed it on original tweets only, and kind of looking at these, we have a different array. So how many positive and how many negative? We had only 351 negative tweets and 1,621 positive tweets. So our overall sentiment is 552. So this overall sentiment is very positive, which is very surprising because I kind of predicted in my head that it would be negative. These are 5 most negative tweets, which leads me to bring up that I'd like to find a way to kind of filter out some of these. Maybe that's kind of more through cleaning, but cleaning things that are less appropriate. So showing the 5 most positive tweets, these are really interesting because they're all the same, and they don't seem kind of like real tweets, so I think that would be another really interesting thing to look at. So moving on to topic modeling, we kind of look at the results. I did 10 topics, so some of the things that we see is Kindle giveaway, and then we see Prime, pandemic, Bezos, lockdown, magazine, words without probability. There are some interesting things that we could pull from there. And then looking at our LDA corpus model and the most popular topics. And then I went ahead and did a word cloud for the most popular topics. So please, thanks, watch Independent. I don't think that helps, but network analytics. First, the mention network. I first wanted to look at the entire mention network by eigenvector centrality to view where influential users were. And this is kind of what it looked like. So you see there are these really dark spots here where some of our more influential users are. So I zoomed in on this one because it seemed to be a little bit darker, a little bit bigger. So I zoomed in, and at N0A27 has very large network, and he was the user with the highest eigenvector score, so he's the most influential in this network, at least in my sample. Co-hashtag network analytics, this is kind of what it looked like. We went over Amazon, kind of not a surprise, but I also think there are things to mention within this. So storytelling and conclusion. There were initially a lot of unrelated tweets in my first extractions, I think in part because of the topics that I searched through. They were pretty broad, so I narrowed the topics, made them very specific to only get the relevant tweets. This made it much easier to analyze, so I would definitely recommend this for future projects. So I just reiterated the questions, and I will go through those and answer them. So what is the overall sentiment of tweets about Amazon? Tweets are generally very positive or neutral, surprisingly low amount of negative tweets, but the word analysis leads me to believe that some of these tweets may be very important in the future for Amazon. There were words such as safety, concern, protest, coronavirus, employees beating, and these don't need to be overlooked, even if most of the tweets related to the company are positive. Fixing the issues connected to these words should be a top priority for Amazon. However, small amount of tweets contain the word coronavirus, so I believe from this sample that Amazon has not been negatively affected by the pandemic, but in turn, positively affected. So what are the most prevalent topics? Dealing with buy, since this company is in the business of retail, not really a surprise, but COVID did not seem to be a prevalent topic when looking at topic modeling. Do the tweets get a lot of attention? Yes, they do get a lot of attention. Lots of bigger accounts such as Business Insiders, well-known accounts, tweet about Amazon and different companies in Fortune 500. So this account that tweets about Amazon, it's spread through a wide network. Finally, has the pandemic affected the way consumers talk or tweet about the company? Touched on this before, but in my own opinion, I do not believe the pandemic has affected the way consumers tweet about Amazon. I think customers are mostly grateful for the ability to online shop and get quicker shipping through this company, and other concerns are not as important right now during the pandemic. So I also wanted to look again at our co-hashtag network. There seems to be a large connection of words involving winning something, like we saw in our sentiment analysis, giveaway, sweepstakes, win. Leads me to wonder if these tweets are real or scams. I think that would be another cool project to look into. Are people using Amazon's names for scams and free giveaways that are not actually sponsored by Amazon? And additionally, there does appear to be a lot of hashtags relating to COVID in the bottom left. I think looking more into those specific hashtags would better determine effects on the company and might even give us some insights about what Amazon is doing during the pandemic. So that's all I have. I really hope you found something interesting, and I hope you are all staying safe.